Hello, welcome. I am here on the Wild Sound Actors podcast. I'm joined here by Mindy Smith of the powerful short film Mara. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. We've got a lot to chat about.
Yeah, thank you. I was very excited to get the invite from our director. And so I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, the film's definitely getting out there. So we want to give some context to the wonderful storytellers that we've got on screen. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about you before we dive into the project. I know every actor's got their own unique trajectory in the craft and what called them to it. So I'd love to hear about kind of what brought you to this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the sort of condensed but overarching story is I think I figured out acting was what I wanted to do in the seventh grade. It was the first time we did a play and had like the applause at the end. And I was like, oh, that feeling. I want that all the time. That's lovely. Yeah. That feels great. So theater was my first love, and that sort of live energy transfer that happens when you're doing something where your viewers are in the same space as you. That was, I think, what unlocked that the power of that creativity. And then I went to college for that. So my undergraduate degree is in acting and theater from Bradley University, which is here in the Midwest. And then sort of on a whim, I moved to Los Angeles in 2007. And that was maybe one of the most whimsical and sort of unplanned, unstrategic things I've ever done in my life. I was visiting some friends on a 2-week trip, signed a lease with one of them while I was there, and then came back and just told my family, hey, okay, in a month I have to move to LA because my lease begins.
Surprise!
Yeah. Only when you're young can you like really do something that reckless. And I wasn't really sure if I was going to like it. I didn't know how much I wanted to be in the film side of things versus the theater side. And I actually really, I won't say it wasn't a hard 4 years. LA is just kind of a tough place to be. It's real expensive. You spend 95% of your life in traffic. And so there were challenges there. And I also moved in 2007. And so if you know, in 2008 was a writer's strike. So the city kind of shut down right after I got there.
Good timing.
Such good timing. Such good timing. But I did kind of in the midst of all of that I think my 4th day in the city, I was on a film set because I had a college acquaintance who was doing background work. So he was like, we can get you on this set. Just show up with me. They're not going to make you go home. And so that's kind of what happened. And I went through the whole central casting kind of process, which is wild. And so I did that for a little while, and it was really exciting to see how film and television is put together kind of from the back side of it. And I missed the fact that I wasn't really doing any acting. I mean, kind of standing in the background and whatever. That's not really acting. But it was really, really cool just to be in the environment and to like also be in the same place as people in some cases, people who I really admired, and I just felt like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're like standing right over there and doing this thing. And
I won't, but I could touch them.
Yes. I won't say who we had a lecture from one of the PAs one time that we were not to even look in the direction of the talent for that particular project, which was wild.
Oh, it's okay.
But most of the time, like, people were pretty cool, and if they were in close proximity to you, they'd make chit chat until like they were told to start or whatever. So there was a lot of really lovely experiences, and just getting to see how many takes it takes to get a shot and all of that was really cool. So I think then that started to pique my interest a little bit more deeply into that side of things. And then kind of, again, just long story short, I was there 4 years, then I was in Chicago for a couple years. Then I ended up in Champaign kind of by accident, and I've been here for a decade. But it took me like maybe, I think I was here almost 2 years before I really started getting back into the theater community here. I'd kind of put that side of my life on hold, thinking I couldn't find a practical way to integrate it into films. And like, okay, well, maybe that was something I did when I was younger, and now I need to like be a grown up about it. But it never felt right. And once I started making connections here in the theater community, which is very strong and very wonderful, very supportive, it overlaps quite a bit with our film community. And then because Champaign is very close to places like Bloomington and Peoria, and then I think, Ben, the director, is in Decatur here. So, and then we're very close to Chicago. So there's just like a lot of close communities that interact with each other and pull talent. And if you drive 45 minutes or whatever, I'm doing a play right now in Bloomington, so I drive an hour each way several times a week to do rehearsals for that. So you just kind of like,
love it.
you just kind of make it work because you enjoy the people you're working with, and you just kind of really start to see how everything can be so connected is kind of delightful.
Yeah.
So
it's very different from LA, where it's disparate and it's almost a competition. But I find with different communities, like when they are so entwined, people want to help each other find work. They want to tell stories together. And if you're going to be spending hours together, you'd like to be with good people. So that's really nice that you found that.
Yeah. And so I think after a point when I started to have some friends in the film community, then they would point the direction towards various social groups you can join online just to kind of get a heads up. Yeah. And so I think I saw the information on the Mara auditions on Facebook in just a like local filmmakers group on Facebook.
Yeah.
And so submitted my stuff, and then that's kind of how that all took off.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
You never know where these things are going to fall in, and you also never know. You can send so many things out into the void with nothing. So it's really nice when projects like this arise. And thank you for that journey through that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So in terms of with this project, when you first got the script, what were you thinking?
That I was bummed I had to sign an NDA that I couldn't tell anybody how cool it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so wild. It's going to be such a cool journey to kind of see it go from paper. And I have a good imagination, but like how you imagine a thing isn't always how the person who wrote it or the person who's directing it, in our case, we're the same person, but like it's not always how each person is going to interpret those things either.
Yeah.
So I was excited. I was curious how close what I was envisioning was going to be, what would actually happen. But I was very excited with the different sort of nuances and twists, and curious what would they add into the visuals that you don't get just reading it to kind of not tip the hand too soon, but also offer some little nuggets of people.
Yeah, you need those breadcrumbs to keep that suspense and that questioning in. And I think that this film did that beautifully. And I think your character is really integral for that as a balance to our other lead. Yeah. And you have to be kind of, it appears like the beacon of hope, an empathetic opposite to our lead. It's just a really stark contrast to when he's alone. So in reading it, you have these ideas, but how did you prepare?
Yeah, it was interesting because I think when we started, so we did a read through, but everyone's in kind of different locations. So it's not as though we could just all get together and do a bunch of rehearsals. So everyone really had to take ownership for preparing on their own time, and then being prepared to adjust when you get in person with everybody based on what the director is seeing.
Yes.
And kind of what each person is bringing, and how to then make that make sense together, just in case someone's a little bit up here and they need to be kind of more this direction for it all to put together. So I think what was fun for me was knowing that there was going to be the twist that there is, trying to figure out how to not know that until I needed to know that, or until someone else needed to know that. So in the beginning, and it was cool what they did too. So they had very clear ideas on like how my hair and makeup should change as one starts to take over the other and become more prominent. And the colors of the clothing were specific. So like when I was pulling wardrobe to bring with me on the day, I had a very clear direction on like, please bring muted colors all the way to like brighter, richer, more like kind of jewel tone stuff, so that we can have that kind of build towards the ending. And then even just the manner of speaking had to be, it couldn't quite be the same all the way through. It had to shift just subtly enough that she starts off as like a stabilizing presence, but then she's kind of making some suggestions that maybe an actual board certified psychologist shouldn't be making.
Like, I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but I wouldn't suggest that for sure.
Yeah. But it has to still feel like not totally incorrect, I guess. So it was a lot of fun. It was fun to, at first I thought it'd be challenging to not be also the other part. Do you know what I mean? Like for that not to actually be me, that I'm playing that. And so for that to have to like kind of do a little relay race handoff at some point to a whole nother human being. But then it ended up working out so smoothly. And yeah, Catherine really grabbed that and just like really went so into the darkness with it in ways that were wonderful and ideal for what needed to happen at that point. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to kind of chew on that and try to figure out what are the strategic points that will kind of set everybody else up in the best possible way.
That touches on a great point of understanding just what function am I in that part? Like, how do I tell this story for this part? So you're doing like that self-direction, and you're almost becoming like aligned with the writer to those parts. Sometimes it's more fun to really dive in, but you can only dive in so much as what the scene requires. So yeah, that's a really cool challenge to be given for this piece. A lot to sink your teeth into.
Yeah. I think Seth got to do more like visual work. Like you watch him, right? Like go through everything. I think my task was much more internal, and I had to just kind of like let it out when I had an opportunity to. So it is different. Like some parts do feel more internal, and some are like I'm doing a lot, as opposed to I have to just sort of like embody certain things. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah, which is nice that you have both the theater and film training. Then you can, with stuff like this, you can push the envelope a little bit more into the theatrical, but it never felt like it was too much. It really was perfect for the medium. So in terms of the filming, I always like to ask, were there any surprises during the filming process? Or maybe
well, a really lovely surprise was we had like, I think, a homemade like crafty the day that I shot. So I only filmed one day, and the woman that was handling all of our food or kind of catering for the cast, she showed up with a handmade, homemade taco bar for us that day, which was just, I couldn't wait for it to be lunchtime as soon as I found out.
We really got to get this shot, because
yeah, and it was incredible. It was so delicious. And then she kind of hung around, and everyone was sharing stories about how they knew each other and had worked together. And I was pretty new. I knew Catherine just very kind of peripherally from the Champaign area, but I don't think I'd worked with any, well, and I knew a couple of the guys behind the scenes who were doing sound or some of the other camera setup stuff.
Cool.
But I felt kind of like a bit of an outsider. So it was very cool to hear the little pockets of ways that people had worked together and their stories on past projects. And then just, it wasn't a surprise, but just something that really stood out was how caring the environment was, like from top to bottom at every point, like from the first meeting of the read through, all the way through to the very ending. Our director and writer, he just like really set the tone for a very considerate, there was no drama, there was no like arguing or side things going on about like creative difference. Like there was just nothing. Everybody just like seemed delighted to be participating. And I think when that happens, everybody brings their best, because nobody's feeling shut out. Nobody's feeling not seen. Nobody's feeling not cared for. So then you just like really want to show up even more and not be the one thing that's kind of like a downer when people talk about it later.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's a hard job. That's a very skilled director to be able to read the room and see what people need and create that environment, because that's not always the case. So it's just really like a beautiful, a cohesive unit. And that comes through in the cohesiveness of the vision of the piece. Like all the elements really spoke to one another, in like everybody felt like they were playing in the same world, and the lighting was good, and the sound design felt really rich and held that tension. And that's when I can usually tell, oh yeah, things must have gone well on this set. You could see some where you're like, oh, the lighting is off, or the sound is just, or like two people aren't really in the same film, something went off. So that translated into the final product, I found.
Yeah, it was great. And particularly with Seth too, because he had to, I remember the one scene in particular where he's like, and all his stuff was out of sequence, right? So the day we filmed, it was just him meeting with me, really. And then there was a little bit with the Mara character later. But there was one point at which he's like at the end of an emotional rope. I think maybe he's just actually had the vision of Mara or whatever. And so he's come to the doctor, and he's just like emotionally a mess. And several times, Ben was good to check in and just be like, you want to take a second? Like you're doing quite a lot here. You're dealing with, you're hitting a lot of good points, but do you want a break?
You're going through it, man.
Should we take a water break? Everybody hydrate for a second. So it was like it wasn't I see what's happening, let's push that further and like make you feel more terrible so we can capture that. It was like, this is incredible and we're getting what we need. Let's also take a break and like breathe for a second and like be humans. And I think that's just so important, to have a person who's not just seeing the art or like the finished product, but who's also seeing the people that are doing it.
Yeah. So. Did the director have acting experience?
Oh my gosh, you know what? That's such a good question. I think he would say that is not where his home is.
Yeah.
I think at heart he is very much a writer in the spirit. And I think, I don't know what I've never written and then directed a piece myself, but I imagine there's a different connection to that, like when it's come from you and then you're also the one who gets to know what you saw when you were creating it, and then kind of move your live action pieces around a little bit too. But I don't know. I honestly don't know what he would say about his acting background. This is the main thing I've worked with him on, and I always keep an eye out for any time he is putting out like a new project, because I love to work. Like I said, the environment was amazing. Just the vision was really cool and spooky, and
everything we want.
Everything you want.
I always advocate for directors to take some acting workshops, just to get into the mindset and see, like, okay, what are some of the terms that would actually be helpful, or some of the techniques that would be helpful to my actors. So he doesn't need those classes. It's so nice.
No, and I think what was very apparent was that he just trusted us as well. Like, I think he cast people and was strategic about it, and he cast people that I felt like he put a lot of trust and faith in them, knowing how to do what he needed. And so even on the day, there wasn't a lot of like correction of what was happening. There was occasionally a little bit of like zhuzhing, if anything, just to either make something read a little bit better, because what you may see in person is not what you're going to see on the camera always. So I think at most, like, that's kind of maybe where he stepped in at times, but he just, again, I just felt like there was an immense trust of the people behind the scenes that he had brought onto the project and the people he was putting in front of the camera. So
lovely.
Yeah, it was great.
So when you finally got to see the final product of the film, what was your reaction?
It's always weird a little bit to me to like watch myself because I have to separate from I have an over analytical brain, and so I have to separate from seeing all the little things where I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have done that differently, or now that I'm seeing that, I would have maybe, like you have to train your thoughts to just be kinder or more curious.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of that anytime I saw myself, where I was just like, just watch it and pretend it's not you.
Yes.
If you're
just else, they're fabulous, and you're watching the work, the story.
Yeah. And it's not, that's not what it's about. It's not like it's not a critical piece in that sense. But like, let's just see. And so I only worked one day on the film. I only worked the day of my scene. So I didn't see any of the stuff that Seth went through in the bedroom or in his apartment. I heard a little bit about what was going to happen because they were excited about it and everyone was chatting. And I saw some of the scenes at the very end where it starts as me in the dress and it turns into her. Yeah. So we did that on the same day so that we could kind of film those cuts. And I just thought by the time all of the things had come together, it just was really cool. I felt like it looked pretty professional. Yeah. Like, you never know when you're just sitting in a room of a rental, a rental home. Like, what is this going to turn into? And
fingers crossed it's worth our time. And
and it's always like the wait is the hardest to get to the finished product, because you just want to know. It's so hard to leave and be like, okay.
Do I want to talk to people about this? Do I want them to see it? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I do. I mean, I'm always like, oh my gosh, this is the time I had and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but and I don't know when I'll get to see it. That's the other piece, I think, with film. Like, it's just, you just never know how long the post-production time is going to be. And so when it did finally come about, it was very exciting to kind of all get together, and not everyone could be there. So I think that was the other thing. I haven't been able to attend any of the film festivals that it's been going to. So some of the other actors I think have gone. I think Seth has tried to be at as many as he could be at, which is great. So I haven't gotten to see it in that kind of an environment. I've just watched it in a living room, with some of the crew, and then Ben and Catherine, I think, was able to be there that day. So it was it was very cozy and it was nice. And there was a part of me that's like, I kind of want to see it bigger. Like I want to see it somewhere where it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious how that.
I think you talked earlier about with theater, that energy that's in the room, that liveness. And yeah, if you can get to one of the viewings, I think it'd be so cool to see how an audience reacts to what they're doing and see them sitting in their seat, or the visceral reactions that they might be having could be.
Yeah, I think in our situation, because we had all worked on it, there was like a shared nervousness.
Yeah.
Not that it was going to be bad by any means, because we all had been there that day and like we felt something.
Yeah.
But more just like, is anybody going to look at something I did and be like, wait, there was, I think everyone kind of always feels just that little bit of self-consciousness of.
It's natural.
Here. Yeah.
That's the reason why, who is it? Johnny Depp hasn't seen any of his films. So it's a normal thing. And I think even the best of us aren't good at being zen and totally accepting of our work.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. Now, okay, in terms of acting, do you have any projects on the horizon that you're excited about? Any goals that you want for your...
Yeah. Well, I think I'm always on the lookout for other film opportunities, and they kind of come in cycles, right? So this time of year is a little bit, I feel like it's a little less fruitful for projects starting.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to do anything when it's nasty outside.
No, in Toronto we just had a huge dump of snow that shut down the whole city. And
oh my gosh.
Even today, they're like, I don't really want to go out, I don't think. So, hard to get people motivated to be out when the sun is not powering us too much.
Yeah. So I don't have any film projects currently lined up at the moment. But I am, as I mentioned, I'm doing a play right now in Bloomington. So there's like a lovely little, I think technically I would consider it a black box theater. It's intimate, it's small, it's tucked into a little community center in Bloomington Normal. And so we're doing a weird and delightfully poetic play called Smokefall right now. And yeah, it's wild. The second act takes place in my character's uterus. It's like the twin babies are like having a conversation with each other about philosophy and all sorts of things. That's how it's weird. It is weird, but beautiful and sad and hilarious. And so we're opening that in February. So that's currently the project that's occupying my time. And yeah, I'm very eager to see what people think of it, and if they have any idea what's going on by the time they leave.
I think honestly, it's stuff like that sticks with you more because you haven't seen it before, and you never know what is going to hit you and what you're going to take out of it. It's really nice to just be able to project any of your own feelings or experiences and just embrace the not knowing, I guess.
Yeah. We're really leaning into that suspension of disbelief principle.
I like that. We need that. Everything needs to be.
The world is real enough. We don't need any more realism.
Too real. Let's escape for a little bit.
Into
your womb.
At least for one scene.
That sounds amazing. I'm looking forward to how that goes for you. But thank you so much for joining us today. I loved chatting with you. That was great. And hopefully we'll chat about some future projects.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hannah. It was great meeting you and having a chance to talk. So
and break a leg with the play.
Thank you so much.